because what you're about to hear is not a drill. Imagine being loyal for over a decade, holding down your partner through prison time, scandals, and the kind of public scrutiny that would make even Kris Jenner sweat, and then getting publicly body-bagged on a live stream like yesterday's leftovers. Skull emoji. Papoose, yes, Mr. Black Love himself, just got verbally evicted from Remy Ma's heart in front of the entire internet. And who replaced him? None other than Eazy the Block Captain, who, according to Remy, isn't just a man, he's her dream come true. Oop. Is this real life? Or did Maury start a YouTube channel and forget to tell us? Is chivalry finally dead, or was it just ghosted by someone with better bars and a verified Instagram? We've got leaked DMs, shady subtweets, secret studio sessions, and an alleged confrontation that ended with someone's wig getting metaphorically snatched. And trust us, it ain't who you think. Grimacing face, so grab your popcorn, sip your tea, and turn your notifications all the way on, because we're about to deep dive into the scandal that just slapped relationship goals across the face with a mic stand. Ready? Let's expose the drama. Let's take it back. Way back before the betrayal, before the live stream, before the culture got slapped awake with one of the most unexpected relationship implosions hip-hop has ever seen. There was Remy Ma and Papoose, the so-called unshakable, the blueprint for loyalty. The couple that survived prison walls, industry politics, tabloid rumors, and every temptation the entertainment world could throw at them. He waited 7 years for her. She came home, and they built an empire together. Love and hip-hop didn't just feature them, it marketed them as the couple above drama. The grown, evolved, bulletproof bond that no scandal could touch. Until now. Because in a single moment, broadcast live to thousands, Remy Ma didn't just end a relationship. She performed a public dissection of it. She picked it apart, dismantled the myth of what they were. She stripped away every illusion with a few words that echoed like gunshots across the internet. I was loyal to a fantasy, she said. Papoose was comfort. Eazy is vision. Not rumor. Not gossip. Not a leaked audio. These were her words. Her mouth. Her camera. Her moment. It was the verbal equivalent of setting fire to your own house and walking away without flinching. People couldn't believe it, and that's not hyperbole. Because when Remy Ma, the same woman who once thanked Papoose for being her rock, for staying 10 toes down while she served 6 years behind bars, suddenly claims publicly that the man meant nothing to her. That's not a revelation. That's a cultural detonation. Let's be real, the signs were there. They'd been drifting. The body language at recent events had changed. Papoose, once proudly front and center, started showing up like a background extra in his own marriage. There were long stares, awkward silences, quick glances exchanged between Remy and another man. And that man? He wasn't just anybody. Enter Eazy the Block Captain, battle rapper, street poet, the gritty, no filter, no apologies type who wasn't here for fake Hollywood smiles or carefully crafted couple branding. Eazy was the hunger, the fire, the edge Remy once embodied, and maybe, just maybe, was starting to crave again. But here's where it gets twisted. Eazy wasn't just some outsider. He wasn't some random name sliding into DMs with bar-heavy pickup lines. He was already part of her orbit. She hired him, booked him, promoted him on Chrome 23, her own battle rap league. He was her artist, her investment, and if whispers are to be believed, her emotional escape route. Because when you start watching the footage, the way she looked at him, the frequency of their communication, the rumored late-night meetings about branding strategy, it starts to paint a picture. Not a blurry one. A sharp, high-def betrayal caught in slow motion. And people noticed. At the Chrome 23 anniversary event, a clip surfaced. It didn't go viral immediately, but the internet has a memory. In it, Remy is seen leaning in toward Eazy, her hand lingering on his shoulder just a second too long. Papoose is right there, watching, smiling. But the smile doesn't reach his eyes. You know that look someone gives when they've already lost the person standing beside them? That's what he looked like. At first, it was chalked up to industry pressure, tour stress, busy schedules. But something wasn't right. And then came the moment that erased all doubt. During what was billed as a routine Instagram Live Q&A with fans, someone asked her, maybe joking, maybe probing, "Do you still love Papoose?" She didn't flinch, didn't hesitate, just stared into the camera and said, "I loved the idea of him, but sometimes you outgrow ideas." That's when the shift happened. That's when people stopped debating and started watching in disbelief. Because what came next wasn't even anger. It wasn't resentment. It was worse. It was detachment. Papoose meant nothing compared to what I feel with Eazy. It's not even close. 16 words. That's all it took. 16 words to rewrite over a decade of public devotion. To make the man who stood beside her through the darkest period of her life seem like a disposable chapter in her story. Twitter exploded. TikTok erupted. Reddit melted down. YouTube commentators were recording reaction videos in real time. Even diehard Remy and Pap fans were left blinking at their screens asking, is this really happening? Because when the Queen of Black Love declares the king irrelevant, it's not just a relationship ending, it's a narrative collapsing. The theories started pouring in. Some said she was never really in love, just loyal to the loyalty. Others claimed she found new purpose, a rebirth of the woman she was before the sentence, before the baby, before the careful image management. But everyone agreed on one thing. This wasn't a publicity stunt. This was raw. This was real. And then came the so-called receipts. Private messages, screenshots, leaked audio clips, conversations that allegedly took place between Remy and close friends, detailing how long she'd been emotionally done. Rumors swirled that her bond with Eazy had started months, maybe even years earlier. That the flirtation turned to chemistry, turned to something physical long before the public had a clue. And here's the most damning part. Some sources say Papoose knew. Not just suspected, knew. And stayed silent. For the brand. For the image. For the illusion. Because what's worse than losing the woman you love? Watching her fall for someone else, while the world still believes you're her everything. Insiders say the dynamic changed behind the scenes. That Papoose stopped attending events unless absolutely necessary. That Chrome 23 staff started whispering. That certain team members suddenly quit without explanation. And while this was happening, Remy and Eazy were moving like they had nothing to hide. Posting more. Smiling more. That uncomfortable kind of joy that doesn't care if anyone's watching. But there's something bigger at play here. Because this isn't just a personal implosion. There's talk of financial disputes. Quiet power moves. Secret contracts being renegotiated behind Papoose's back. Some say Eazy isn't just the new man, he's being positioned as the new partner. In business. In brand. In everything. And yet, through all of this, Papoose remains silent. No public response. No press statement. Just a few cryptic Instagram stories that feel less like retaliation and more like resignation. Maybe he knew this was coming. Maybe he believed it would pass. Or maybe, just maybe, he's been preparing for a war none of US knew was brewing. Because, according to one source close to Chrome 23, what the public saw was only the first crack. The full collapse? That's coming. This isn't just a love story gone wrong. It's a blueprint unraveling. A kingdom turning to ash in real time. And if the rumors are true, if what's happening behind the scenes is even half as chaotic as what we're hearing, then what's coming next will make everything up to this point look tame. Power, legacy, and betrayal at the highest level. That's what we uncover next. What we saw on camera was just the final explosion, but behind the scenes, it had been building for months, maybe longer. And now, with Remy's words out in the open, every suspicious glance, every delayed post, every canceled appearance suddenly made sense. The silence wasn't peace. It was preparation. Everyone was moving like they knew a storm was coming. And when it hit, it didn't just destroy a relationship, it sent tremors through an entire industry. The confrontation between Papoose and Eazy wasn't caught on live stream, but pieces of it leaked. Witnesses, audio, an unedited security clip from backstage at the Chrome 23 Fight Night event, passed anonymously to a mid-tier blog, then mysteriously deleted hours later. But not before a few people saved it. And if what they described is even halfway accurate, it wasn't a conversation, it was a full-on blowout. Not fists, words. Heavy ones. One witness claimed Papoose waited until Eazy was alone. No entourage, no cameras. Just a narrow hallway, low lighting, and years of built-up restraint. "You crossed the line," he allegedly said. "She was my world." To which Eazy reportedly responded, "She was. She chose differently." And that was it. No punches, just silence. Not because there wasn't rage, but because the real fight had already been lost. And in that moment, Papoose realized he wasn't just outnumbered, he was already replaced. Multiple Chrome 23 staffers resigned the following week. No statements, no explanations, just a string of sudden departures that industry insiders are calling the quiet collapse of a power structure. People who once stood by Remy's side professionally started distancing themselves overnight. Some say it was about loyalty. Others say it was fear, not of Remy, but of being implicated in what's coming next. Because here's where things take a darker turn. According to leaked internal documents, allegedly sent from a disgruntled former Chrome 23 employee, there are significant financial discrepancies in the league's books. Missing payouts, duplicate invoices, budget approvals with no trail. And the pattern? It seems to begin shortly after Eazy the Block captain was brought on as a full-time talent consultant. Now, no one's saying he's directly responsible, but what's raising eyebrows is how fast certain decisions were made once he entered the picture. Remy reportedly overrode her own advisors to restructure contracts. New hires were approved without background checks. Production costs tripled for certain events, with no receipts. And yet somehow, no one asked questions. Until now, one whistleblower, using the alias C23 Insider, claims that over $300,000 in league sponsorship money was redirected into a private promotional fund managed off books. That fund, allegedly tied to a limited liability company co-owned by someone with the initials EBC. If that's true, and there's still no hard proof yet, it means this isn't just about infidelity. It's about money, power, and possibly fraud. And guess who was reportedly locked out of the financial meetings for months before this surfaced? Papoose. He wasn't just being cut out emotionally, he was being shut out legally. Quietly. Strategically. Sources say he raised concerns to Remy in private and was told to trust the vision. But by the time he realized what was happening, the paper trail was already too faint to follow, and the new leadership structure already locked in. Some legal experts, speaking off the record, have speculated that if these financial shifts are real and traceable, it could open Remy Ma to serious investigation. Misuse of sponsorship dollars, fraudulent reporting to partners, improper allocation of funds tied to media and merchandise deals. It's not just a PR mess. It's potential corporate malpractice. But in public, Remy looks unfazed. Since the live stream, she's doubled down, no apologies, no retractions. Just cryptic posts about clarity, freedom, and standing in your truth. She's been photographed at private dinners with Eazy. They're moving like a couple who've already weathered the backlash and survived it. The strategy is clear. Don't defend the move. Own it. Make the betrayal look like liberation. Reframe the chaos as control. And people are buying it, at least some of them. Younger fans, especially those tuned into battle rap culture, are calling Remy's move bold, empowering, the kind of self-actualization men have gotten away with for decades. They're not sympathizing with Papoose. They're praising Remy for choosing passion over obligation. But the rest of the culture isn't so forgiving. Older fans, hip-hop historians, women who rooted for Remy through every stage of her comeback, they're not just disappointed. They feel duped, betrayed, and they're not keeping quiet. Instagram comment sections have turned into digital war zones. Some fans are calling for boycotts. Others are demanding answers about where their money went, especially those who invested in Chrome 23 merchandise, pay-per-view events, or Patreon-style supporter platforms that are now being questioned for transparency. And while Remy continues posting like nothing happened, Papoose remains eerily silent. That silence is starting to shift from dignity to suspicion. What's he waiting for? Why hasn't he spoken up? Because if half of what we've uncovered is real, he may be preparing something much bigger than a social media clapback. Quiet rumors suggest Papoose is meeting with attorneys, business attorneys, contract specialists, brand protection experts, people who don't deal in feelings, they deal in lawsuits. The theory? He still has partial ownership over Chrome 23, at least on paper. And if those rights were stripped or diluted without proper consent, this story isn't ending with broken hearts, it's ending in courtrooms. Sources say he's been gathering evidence, communications, financial records, voicemail backups, possibly even NDAs that were violated in the process of Remy's alleged affair and rebranding push. Because if Eazy was hired during this transition, and it turns out there was already a romantic relationship, that's a conflict of interest that could unravel everything. But here's the part no one expected. A former producer who worked on early Chrome 23 events reached out anonymously and said, "This was always going to happen. Remy's been building an empire, but she didn't want to share the throne." Not really. Papoose. Will he finally speak? Will Remy crack under pressure? Will Chrome 23 survive a full-scale